Everyone, this is Lawrence Watkins with the Black Financial Channel, and welcome to the Financial Juneteenth 5. These are my 5 favorite articles and most interesting articles as it relates to Black wealth, finance, and business for today, September 24th, 2020. Let's go ahead and get started. So my lead article today comes from Black Enterprise, and it is an opinion piece. And the title of it is "White People Are Cashing In." White people are cashing in on the Black struggle for equality by Anthony Quinones. I think that's how you pronounce it, but I apologize if I mispronounced his name. But the article is interesting. It talks about whether or not white corporate interests are co-opting the movement. In this paragraph, he explains, Black Enterprise. Yeah, on this paragraph, he explains, explaining racism or race-blaming is now a billion-dollar industry run mainly by whites. Once again, corporate America and other opportunists have taken a sin they created and leveraged it into a cash cow on the backs of Black people. How is this done over and over again? And he laid out a few different points, including co-opt a Black movement without commitment, hijack the narrative, pivot to a different narrative, and use Black America to craft the new narrative and also cash in regards to speaking engagements and expertise and selling professional services. Point number 4 really stood out to me in this paragraph right here. It states, corporate America patronizes Black America by asking what it can do to help. This information helps to craft the new narrative. They'll reference Black culture, token Black friends, and quote Martin Luther King to pander to Black people while speaking to white people. Remember, the narrative is for white people and not Black people to really just absolve their guilt and not, to help white people feel more comfortable. So I found this to be an interesting article in a think piece. You should, really read it if you're interested in that type of thing. But it's from Black Enterprise and it was released today. The second article that I want to talk about, it's of similar note in a certain type of way. I think this actually came out yesterday, but it's from Bloomberg, and it states Walmart took its eye off Black managers while women advanced. An effort to promote female leaders had one big unintended consequence. And of course, that unintended consequence is Black people were not promoted nearly as much, and they fell behind. So Mike Duke, he was then the CEO of Walmart, is quoted throughout this article. But one interesting stat is basically this highlighted area shows that, let's say, jump 11 years, and Walmart has boosted that to nearly 1/3. So basically 27% to 33% increase in terms of an increase of women participation in, I believe, senior leadership roles, while the Black share of leadership roles has recently declined. It goes on to state a little later, these people who requested, this is talking about African Americans who decided to comment on this article, but did not want to be known because they feared retribution and I guess attack maybe from Walmart. These people who requested anonymity, as some still live there in fear of retribution for criticizing the nation's largest employer, depicted an environment where promising Black staffers repeatedly failed to break into the company's officer ranks, while white women gained trust by a strong career development network. So a few different things that I see going on here. One is the focus in terms of corporations. It's very difficult for corporations to focus on more than one minority group at a time, I believe. And so, if Black people were getting, I guess the brunt, or I guess the most of the benefits as related to corporate diversity projects, at one point in time, that means other groups probably weren't doing the exact same thing, because most corporations have an incentive to entrench the power of those who are already in power. So either Black people are in power, or white people or white women were in power, that type of thing. So because of that, one group is going to fall by the wayside. And to me, that's one of the biggest illusions about corporate diversity programs, is in terms of the resources to focus on everyone all at the exact same time. This article goes to state as well, Walmart's not the only one that's going through this. Target, only 3 of its top 54 executives are Black. Costco had no Black senior executives as of 2018. according to most recent data available. And the leadership of Best Buy is also dominated by white faces. So check this article out. I think it's very interesting talking about just D&I, diversity and inclusion, from many different angles, and the power of unintended consequences when it comes to this type of thing. This article is interesting from the Washington Post. It talks about why supermarkets are powerful flashpoints in racial politics. Grocery stores dispense hierarchy along with food. I thought this was interesting. I never really looked at it in this type of way before, but of course, the Washington Post is on the white liberal side of things. So they bring up things sometimes that don't make any sense, but sometimes, will get me to think a little bit more about a particular, subject. So this idea of grocery stores being bastions of like racial divide and racial inequality, those types of things, was an interesting thing to look at. So here it states, historically, grocery stores are a key, if under-recognized, nodes in the history of racism and violence in the United States. Food, an object we so often imagine as bringing people together, has been a consistent backdrop for policing and assault of Black people in particular. So it's talking about, George Floyd, how grocery store was the backdrop of that. It was talking about George, of course, Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman, Emmett Till, and a few other things as well. Here states, even the end of slavery, stereotypes of servile African-American cooks, maids, and children permeated through food advertising. So it gets into that as well. But this is an interesting piece to look at, from the Washington Post in regards to just our different environments and backdrops and types of businesses that can often lead to encounters with the police. It started off, talking about some whites refusing to wear their mask, and how that affected Black employees and the power dynamic on that particular front as well. So check out that article. The next is Wells Fargo. This is a follow-up from yesterday. Wells Fargo CEO apologized after blaming shortage of Black talent for banks' lack of diversity. So basically, of course, we knew he was going to come out and apologize sooner or later for his words. Mr. Scharf, he likes his job, and I'm sure he would like to keep it. But his initial statement is, while it might sound like an excuse, the unfortunate reality is that there is a very limited pool of Black talent to recruit from. So that's what he said in a memo in June. But then yesterday, on Wednesday, he stated in the memo again, to the entire company, for making insensitive comments reflecting my own unconscious bias. He then goes on to state, there are many talented, diverse individuals working at Wells Fargo and throughout the financial services industry, and I never meant to imply otherwise. It's clear to me that across the industry, we have not done enough to improve diversity, especially at senior leadership levels. And there is no question Wells Fargo has to make meaningful progress to increase diverse representation. Then it states a stat, 4.1% of Wells Fargo senior workforce is Black in 2018, compared to 8% in 2015. So that's definitely something to look at as well. The last article that I found interesting today came from Square. So Square is that little card reader that you use to pay for things using your mobile phone. But Square Inc. to invest $100 million in minority and underserved communities. In Twitter, I guess I think this is a Twitter comment, or maybe this is direct from the press release. So Business Wire is a press release service. So this comes directly from the company. It states, with its impact investment and committed partnership, Square is helping us fight the racial gap and divide lasting gains for American families and communities. Later in the press release, it talks about basically splitting the $100 million into four $25 million buckets. The first is going to CDFIs, so community development funds and institutions, whatever it is. So basically community banks. The second one goes to the Keepers Fund by the National Bankers Association, which is a trade group for minority-owned financial institutions. The third goes to the Black Economic Development Fund and the Local Initiative Support Coalition. And the fourth, they're reserving for whatever they want to do in the future. So investments in Black-owned banks, credit unions, and CDFIs and other businesses, HBUs, HBCUs fuel economic justice and opportunity in underserved communities and support a broadly shared prosperity throughout the country. So congratulations and thank you for Square for that particular donation. I'm curious as to see how all of these donations from corporate America, how they impact business growth within the Black community and the development of different Black neighborhoods and in cities across America. So that's about it for today. Those are my 5 most interesting articles as it relates to Black finance, wealth, and business for today, September 24th, 2020. Take care, be blessed, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.